A very hearty good morning to everyone. Welcome to my channel. I'm Swati Mukherjee. Today I would love to take you to the world of English literature. All the ICSE students would be having the book Treasure Chest of Class 9. So I would like to start with the first chapter, that is Bonku Babu's Friend. It is a very interesting prose which will also give us a moral value at the end. Bonku Babu's Friend is a short story written by the renowned Indian filmmaker and author Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray writes stories which are relatable to the Indian lifestyle or more specifically to the Bengalis. His greatest works include Pother Pachali, Charulata, Apu trilogy and Gupi Bagha trilogy. This story, Bonku Babu's Friend, is an excerpt from three Ray stories by Satyajit Ray. Okay, now before we start the story, let me first give you an introduction about this story. Bonku Babu's Friend is a short story that revolves around a character named Bonku Babu who encounters a peculiar and mysterious visitor. And two more things that we need to know before starting the story is that it comes under the genre science fiction, and the theme of the story is bullying and standing up for oneself. Okay, so without any delay, let's start with the story. I'll read the story line by line and then give an explanation. Okay. No one had ever seen Bonku Babu get cross. To tell the truth, it was difficult to imagine what he might say or do if one day he did get angry. Okay, so the story starts with saying that no one had ever seen Bonku Babu get cross. Now, cross means angry. So, the first character revelation of Bonku Babu is here that he never gets angry, or no one had ever seen him getting angry. Okay, and Ray here says that it's even difficult for him to imagine or what he might say or do if one day he did get angry. It was not as if there was never any reason for him to lose his temper. So he says that yes, there were reasons. Okay. For the last 22 years, now this is very important. For how many years? For the last 22 years, Bonku Babu had taught geography and Bengali at the Kakurkachi village primary school. Okay, so again important. How many years? 22 years. Bonku Babu had taught which two subjects? Please underline geography and Bengali. And the name of the school is Kakurgachi Village Primary School. Okay, and for your information, Kakurgachi is a small village in West Bengal. Okay, now every year a new batch of students replace the old one, but old or new, the tradition of teasing poor Bonku Babu continued among all the students. So Bonku Babu was always teased, in other words, bullied by his students. Okay, whether it's a new batch or an old one. Some drew his cartoon on the blackboard, the ways of him getting teased. Okay, please underline. Some drew his cartoon on the blackboard, others put glue on his chair, or on the night of Kali Puja, they lit a chasing rocket and set it off right behind him. So these are the three things. It's also important. Okay, next. Bonku Babu did not get upset by any of this. Only sometimes he cleared his throat and said, "Shame on you boys." Okay, so he did not get upset. He did not get angry. As it's already said, that he never. Now, next para. One of the reasons for maintaining his calm was simply that he could not afford to do otherwise. If he did lose his temper and left his job in a fit of pique, he knew how difficult it would then be to find another at his age. So, as we have already known that Bonku Babu does not get upset or angry. So, one of the main reasons for maintaining his calm was, as it is written by Ray, that he could not afford to do otherwise. Why? Because if he loses his temper and left his job in a fit of pique. So, what is a fit of pique? That is a sudden irritation. Okay. If he leaves his job, then it would be difficult for him to find another job at his age. Another reason was that in every class there were always a few good students, even if the rest of the class was full of pranksters. Teaching this handful of good boys was so rewarding that, to Bonku Babu, that alone made life as a teacher worth living. So, another reason is that in each and every class, Bonku Babu always had a few good students, even if the rest of the class was not good, was full of pranksters. Okay, so Bonku Babu found a solace in teaching these handful of good boys. Okay, actually, it was rewarding for him. Okay, that made his life as a teacher worth living. At times, he invited those boys to his house, offered them snacks, and told them tales of foreign lands and exciting adventures. So he used to invite those boys to this house and he offered them snacks and even told them tales of foreign lands and exciting adventures. Why? Because he was a geography teacher. Remember? He used to teach geography, so he told them tales of foreign lands and exciting adventures. Now, what are those things that he tells them? He told them about life in Africa, the discovery of the North Pole, the fish in Brazil that ate human flesh, and about Atlantis, the continent submerged under the sea. So these are the things. Once again, underline. What are the things that he told to these students? Okay. He was a good storyteller. He always had his audience enthralled. So another characteristic of Bunku Babu, he was a good storyteller. Okay, his audience are always enthralled. Enthralled means captivated. Now, next para. During the weekend, Bonku Babu went to the lawyer Sripati Majumdar's house to spend the evenings with other regulars. Now, after the students, here comes second phase, okay, where Bonku Babu went to the lawyer Sripati Majumdar's house to spend the evenings with other regulars. On a number of occasions, he had come back thinking, enough, never again. So here you see again, first with the students, where he said, shame on you boys. Okay, this is the second instance. Okay, the second instance is that enough, never again. That means he is getting irritated. It's not that he's not getting irritated, he is getting irritated, but he does not get angry. Okay, the reason was simply that he could put up with the pranks played by the boys in his school. But when grown ups, even middle aged men, started playing the fool with him, it became too much to bear. So, the reason why he thinks that enough, never again, the reason was simply that if the pranks those are played by the boys in the school is still all right, but the grown up people, even middle aged men, they started playing fool with him. It became too much to bear for him. At these addas, now addas are actually Bengali get togethers, okay, where people come together and they conversation, okay. At these addas, the Sripati Babu hosted in the evenings, nearly everyone poked fun at Bonku Babu, sometimes bringing his endurance almost to breaking point. So he has to endure, and that endurance is coming almost to breaking point because they makes fun of Bonku Babu. Okay, they enjoy at Bonku Babu's expense. All the people that are present at Sripati Babu's house or adda, there, Bonku Babu is being made fun of each and every day, and here his endurance comes almost to breaking point. So, what we see up till now that Bonku Babu is actually bullied. Remember, I told first theme that Bonku Babu is bullied not only by his students, where he is a teacher, but also among his friends circle, so-called friends circle. Okay, they are not his friends, but where Bonku Babu goes to lawyer Sripati Majumdar's house to spend the evenings. Okay, there also he is being regularly bullied. Now, next, only the other day, less than 2 months ago, they were talking about ghosts. So, in the Adda, the talking was about ghosts. Usually, Bonku Babu kept his mouth shut. That day, for some unknown reason, he opened it and declared that he was not afraid of ghosts. That was all. So, Bonku Babu just told that no, I'm not afraid of ghosts. But that was all. Because here they got a point where they can bully Bonku Babu. But it was enough to offer a golden opportunity to the others. On his way back home later that night, Bonku Babu was attacked by a spook. Now, what is a spook? Spook is another word for ghost. Bonku Babu was attacked by a spook. As he was passing under a tamarind tree, a tall, thin figure leapt down and landed on his back. As it happened, this apparition against means ghost, this apparition had smeared black ink all over itself, possibly at the suggestion of someone at the meeting. So this ghost who had smeared black ink all over itself, it just fell upon, it landed on his back just to frighten Bonko Babu. Bonko Babu was not frightened, but he was injured. For 3 days, his neck ached. It's obvious because if somebody lands on your back, your neck or your back will have a aching. Okay. Worst of all, his new kurta was torn and it had black stains all over. Why black stains? Because that apparition had smeared black ink all over itself. Remember? Okay. Now, what kind of a joke was this? Again, we see that Bonku Babu was bullied and he could not bear all these things, but still he kept calm. With this line saying, what kind of a joke was this? It shows Bonku Babu's feelings. Next, even so, Bonku Babu had to come to these meetings. If he didn't, what would Shripati Babu think? Not only was he a very important man in the school committee and in the village, but he couldn't do without Bonku Babu, who would provide amusement to all. So, why did Bonku Babu went to these meetings? Maybe there must be some reason. Okay, otherwise, who would like to be bullied upon? So the reason here, what Ray says is that if he didn't, what would Shripati Babu think? Now, Shripati Babu was not only a very important man in the school committee and in the village, but Shripati Babu wants Bonku Babu to come to his addas because Bonku Babu would provide them with all the amusement. Okay, everybody needs amusement in addas, so Bonku Babu would be that amusement factor, and Bonku Babu could not do without Shripati Babu because he was an important man in the school committee and in the village. Now, on one particular day, the topic of conversation was space. In other words, they were talking of spaceships and space travel. We all know about spaceships and space travel. Okay. Soon after sunset, a moving point of light had been seen in the northern sky. A similar light was seen 3 months ago, which had led to much speculation. So, there was a moving point of light which was seen in the northern sky, and a similar light was seen 3 months ago. In the end, it had turned out to be a Russian satellite called Khotka, or was it Foska? So they didn't knew the name. What was the name? It was not. Actually, they were unsure of the name, but it turned out to be a Russian satellite. Anyway, this satellite was supposed to go. This satellite was supposed to be going round the Earth at a height of 400 miles and providing a lot of valuable information to the scientists. So there's nothing to explain over here. You can understand what is being written. That particular evening, Bonku Babu was the first to spot the strange light. Then he called Nidhu Babu and showed it to him. However, when he arrived at the meeting, he found that Nidhu Babu had coolly claimed full credit for being the first person to see it and was boasting a great deal about it. So, what we see that on that particular evening, Bonku Babu was the first to spot the strange light, and then he called Nidhu Babu to show him the light. But as usual, another characteristic trait we see that as usual, Bonku Babu's friend, so-called friend Nidhu Babu, arrives at the meeting and he claims that he has seen the light firstly. Okay, and he was boasting a great deal about it. Bonku Babu again said nothing. Another characteristic trait of Bonku Babu. Okay, when somebody lies against him, he does not say anything. No one in the group knew much about satellites, but that did not stop them from offering their views. So it's been seen that each and every one over here, they continued offering their views whether they knew or they didn't knew about satellites. Now, said Chandi Babu, somebody sees a point of light in some obscure corner of the sky and the press gets all excited about it. All humbug. So, another person, or more probably to say another member of this Adda, Chandi Babu, he says that somebody sees a point of light in some obscure corner. Now, what does obscure mean? Obscure means that is not clear, that is unclear. Okay, so in some obscure corner of the sky, and the press means the reporters, the newspaper people, they get all excited about it. All humbug. So he calls press as humbug. Humbug again over here means deceptive. Okay. Now, Ramkanai countered this remark. Another person, another character. Okay, Ramkanai. Ramkanai countered this remark. What does countered mean? Countered means opposed. Okay, he was still young. So, since he was still young, he did not believed in what Chandi Babu said or what Nidhu Babu said. So he countered the remark of Chandi Babu. He said, "No, it may not any. It may not any. Maybe there's some mistake over here. It may not be any of us here, but it is a human achievement surely, and a great achievement at that." So he says that may not be this satellite, may not anybody of us be present about this knowledge of satellite, but it's a human achievement after all, so we should be happy about that. Okay, well, you wouldn't expect a bunch of monkeys to do that, would you? So Chandi Babu now says to Ramkanai that you cannot expect a bunch of monkeys to know about satellite, okay, or to see a point of light. It's only some humans, so what is there to be so happy of, or what is there to be so boastful about it? All right, said Nidhi Babu. Let's not talk of satellites. After all, it's just a machine going round the earth, they say. No different from a spinning top. So, what does Nidhu Babu says? Now, by all this conversation, one thing we all see. What is that? Not only Bonku Babu's character, but also the characteristic traits of these people. That is Nidhu Babu, okay, Chandi Babu, Ram Kanai. So what they think, that satellites are nothing much. It's just a machine going round the earth. So he thinks that it's just like a spinning top. Now you all know what is a spinning top? Lattu. Okay, so he says a top would start spinning if you got it going, or a fan would start to rotate if you pressed a switch. A satellite's the same. So he says that this invention of satellite, it's nothing to be so, it's nothing so important. Okay, it's as if a top is started spinning, or as if a fan that starts rotating. But think of a rocket. So he thinks that rocket is of much importance, much more important than a satellite. That can't be dismissed so easily, can it? Chandi Babu wrinkled his nose. A rocket? Why? What good is a rocket? So he says that is rocket of any good to us? Okay, so we can see the mean mentality of these people. Okay, and with this mean mentality, their knowledge is also limited. We all can understand that. Okay, all right. If one was made here in our country, took off from the Maidan in Calcutta, and we could all go and buy tickets to watch the show, well then that would be nice. But so what Chandibabu thinks about rocket? He says that a rocket would be of their help if it was made here in our country, that is in India, and it took off from the Maidan in Calcutta. So Maidan is actually a big ground in Calcutta. You all may be knowing, and from there it would take off and everybody would buy tickets and watch the show as if it's something of entertainment. Rocket to him is something as if they are watching an entertainment show. Okay, you're right, Ramkana agreed. A rocket has no meaning for us here in this village. So again we see that Ramkana agreed to him. Now Bhairav Chakrabarti, another person, okay, underline all the names of the other people who were there in the Adda. Bhairav Chakrabarti spoke next. Suppose some creature from a different planet arrived from Earth. So what? Even if it did, you and I would not be able to say it. Yes, that's true enough. So, Bhairav Chakravarti says that suppose now, see why it's important. Now, Satyajit Ray is gradually taking us to the original spot of the story. Okay, so here from satellite to rocket and now to some creature from a different planet. Okay, so he's giving a hint over here. Okay, suppose some creature from a different planet arrived on Earth. So they're saying, so what? Even if it did, you and I would never be able to see it. Okay, so they think that if we can't see, so what is that also? What importance is that also to us? Okay, everyone turned their attention to their cups of tea. So they thought that chalo, let's put our attention to our cup of tea. There did not seem to be anything left to be said. After a few moments of silence, Bonku Babu cleared his throat and said gently, suppose suppose they came here. So now once again Bonku Babu cleared his throat. Remember before also when he was telling shame on you shame on you boys, he cleared his throat. So once again he cleared his throat and said gently. That means he is actually hesitant in talking. Okay, Bonku Babu is a bit hesitant is in talking. Okay, so he says suppose they came here. It strikes him. Okay, Nithu Babu feigned total amazement. Hey, Bankam wants to say something. What do you say, Bankam? Who's going to come here? Where from? So Nidhu Babu feigned. What's the meaning of feigned? Feigned means pretended. Pretended total amazement. So he now got a chance. Okay, I got a chance. And now see, the amazement, the entertainment starts here. Hey, Bankam. Now, Bankam actually means nonsense or rubbish. Okay. So without calling him Bonku Babu, he just ridicules his name and says Bankam. Hey, Bankam wants to say something. What did you say, Bankam? Who's going to come here? Where from? Bonku Babu repeated his words, his tone still gentle. Why still gentle? Because he should be angry. His name has been ridiculed upon, but he is not. His tone still gentle. Okay. Suppose someone from a different planet came here. So Bonku Babu again emphasizes on his point. Suppose someone from a different planet came here. As he did so often, Bhairav Chakravarti slapped Bonku Babu's back loudly and rudely, grinned and said, Bravo, what a thing to say. So Bhairav Chakravarti, we can see here what he does. He slapped Bonku Babu's back loudly and rudely, and he did this most oftenly. Okay, he grinned. Grinned means laughed, a mockery type of thing. Okay, grinned and said, "Bravo! What a thing to say! Where is a creature from another planet going to land? Not Moscow, not London, not New York, not even Calcutta, but here in Kakurgachi. You do think big, Buncombe, don't you?" So he is actually mocking him. He is actually mocking Bongo Babu. So he's saying that the creature from another planet is going to land where? Over here. Not in Moscow, not in London, not in New York, not even Calcutta. So not in any of the big cities, in other places. Okay. All the important cities, most probably some of them are only mentioned here. Okay. So not going to land on all the important cities, but here in Kakurgachi. So actually these persons, Bhairav Chakravarti, they do not have a very high opinion about this place, this Kakurgachi where they live in. Okay, they have a very low opinion about this place. Oh, it's just a village. Okay, now afterwards also we'll be getting some example as to prove this point. Bonku Babu fell silent. But several questions rose in his mind. So he felt silent, but several questions rose in his mind. Was it really impossible? If an alien had to visit the earth, would it really matter where it arrived first? So he continues thinking. Another Bonku Babu's characteristic trait. He was an imaginative type of person. Okay, so he imagines. He just imagines that was it really impossible? If an alien had to visit the Earth, would it really matter where it arrived first? It might not aim to go straight to any other part of the world. All right, it was highly unlikely that such a thing would happen in Kakurgachi village. But who was to say for sure that it could not happen at all? So he thinks that all right, though it's most unlikely, it's highly unlikely, but can it not happen at all? So again, that imaginative part of Bonku Babu, he is thinking. He is a person, he is a bit different. He is an adventurous person. Shripati Babu was silent so far. Now, as he shifted in his seat, everyone looked at him. He put his cup down and spoke knowledgeably. Look, if someone from a different planet does come to Earth, I can assure you that he will not come to this god-forsaken place. Those aliens are no fools. It is my belief that they are sahibs and they will land in some western country where all the sahibs live. Understand? So now Shripati Babu comes to the scene. Okay? He was silent so far and now he speaks up. Okay, and as he is a lawyer, he is a bit knowledgeable than these villagers. And what's his opinion? His opinion is that if someone from a different planet comes to Earth, he will not come to this god-forsaken place. What is this god-forsaken place? That's Kakurkachi. So remember, I told you before also that the villagers of Kakurkachi have a very low opinion against these places. Okay, he thinks that these aliens are no fools. Since the aliens, he thinks the aliens are sahibs. Okay, sahibs means those who live on Western countries. So he thinks that these aliens will also land in some Western country where the sahibs live. Okay, understand? He told. Now, everyone agreed because what Shripati Babu says, that is the sole and ultimate thing. So everyone agreed with the sole exception of Bonku Babu. Bonku Babu did not agree. Okay. Chandi Babu decided to take things a bit further. He nudged Nidhu Babu silently, pointed at Bonku Babu and spoke innocently. Why? I think Bonku is quite right. Isn't it natural that aliens should want to come to a place where there's a man like our Bonku Bihari? So, when everyone agreed, Chandi Babu now he thinks no, we can't complete the story just like this, okay? So we should make a little more fun of Bonku Babu. So in doing that, what he says that I think Bonku is quite right. It's isn't it natural that aliens should want to come to a place where there's a man like our Bonku Bihari? The first time. First time we know the full name of Bonku Babu, Bonku Bihari. Okay, if they wanted to take away human specimen, could they find anything better? So again, Bongu Babu is being humiliated over here. Okay? No, I don't think so. Nidhu Babu joined in. Consider his looks, not to mention his brains. Yes, Bankam would be the ideal specimen. So Nidhu Babu also joined and he also ridiculed him. Okay? Right, suitable for keeping in a museum or a zoo, Ramkanai chipped in. Ramkanai too joined with them, just to mock at Bonku Babu. Bonku Babu did not reply, but wandered silently. If anyone were to actually look for a specimen, weren't the others just as suitable? Look at Shripati Babu. His chin was so much like a camel's, and that Bhairav Chakravarti, his eyes were like the eyes of a tortoise. Nidhu Babu looked like a rat, Ramkanai like a goat, and Chanti Babu like a flitter mouse. If a zoo really had to be filled up, so Bonku Babu did not reply, but he thought wandered silently of all the other people's features, and he thinks that if a zoo really had to be filled up, so why not these people were also to be put in there? Okay, now tears sprang to his eyes. Again we see Bonku Babu is being ridiculed. Okay, tears sprang to his eyes. Bonku Babu had come to the meeting hoping for once to enjoy himself. That was clearly not to be. He could not stay here any longer. He got to his feet. So he could not carry out with this anymore. His endurance is coming to a limit. He got to his feet. Take care, Bonkuda, warned Ramkanai. It's a moonless night, remember? And it's a Saturday. Very auspicious for ghosts and spooks. Everyone howled with delighted laughter. So, again, they told him that it's a moonless night and the night is Saturday and it's Saturday, so it's very auspicious for ghosts and spooks. And again, they laughed and they howled. Okay, uh, howling is a screaming sound. Okay, with delighted laughter. So they carry on with their laughter at Bonku Babu's expense. Bonku Babu was not carrying a torch or a lantern. There was no need for it. It was too cold for snakes to be out and about, and he knew his way very well. Normally, not people Normally not many people took this route, but it meant a shortcut for him. So Bonku Babu knew this way very well. Okay, so he was not carrying a torch or a lantern. And another thing is that it was too cold for snakes to be out, so he could go as usual. In the last few minutes, he had become aware of something unusual. Now, again, the writer Satyajit Ray brings us to the main point of this story, the main event of this story. Okay? In the last few minutes, he had become aware of something unusual. At first, he could not put his finger to it. That means he could not understand what is unusual. He he just somehow could not figure it out. Somehow things were different tonight. What was wrong? What was missing? So he thinks something is missing over here. Suddenly he realized what it was. The crickets were silent. Now crickets are small insects. If you go to village area, or suppose forest with dense, where there is much dense trees and vegetation, you can hear crickets. Crickets are small insects and they just make a buzzing sound, like this. Okay. So the crickets were silent. This was that the sound of the crickets that was missing. Not one was chirping. Today there was only an eerie silence. What had happened to all the crickets? Were they all asleep? So the silence was too much, an unbearable silence. Okay, that was making Bonku Babu think that something was different tonight. Puzzled, Bonku Babu walked another 20 yards and then he suddenly saw the light. So now we see what happens. Okay, interesting part. At first, he thought that a fire had broken out. Bang in the middle of Poncha Ghosh's bamboo grove, in the clearing near a small pond, quite a large area was glowing pink. A dull light shone on every branch and every leaf. Down below, the ground behind the pond was lit by a much stronger pink light. But it was not a fire, for it was still. So this para, it's very important because Bonku Babu is gradually seeing that scene. Okay, what has happened? Line by line explanation of the scene. What happened? Okay, so first he thought that it's a fire. Okay, because in the middle of Poncha, now whose bamboo grove? Poncha Ghosh's bamboo grove. Okay, bamboo grove, you know. Okay, in the clearing near a small pond, quite a large area was glowing pink. A dull light shone on every branch and every leaf. Now on the branch and the leaf of the bamboo trees, the bamboo grove, a dull light shone. Now he thought it to be a fire because down below the ground behind the pond was lit by a much stronger pink light, but it was not a fire. Why? For it was still. It was not dancing. Okay, if it would have been fire, the light would have been trembling. Bonku Babu kept moving. All at once, his ears began ringing. He felt as if someone was humming loudly, a long, steady noise. There was no way he could stop it. Okay, so suddenly his ears started ringing and there was a humming sound, like this, a long, steady noise. And he could not stop it. Bonku Babu broke out into goose pimples. Now, what is goose pimples? We say goosebumps. Okay, all the he just felt, what to say, he just a bit He was a bit afraid, okay? And so Bonku Babu broke out into goose pimples, but an irrepressible curiosity drove him further forward. So he was a bit afraid, but also his irrepressible curiosity drove him further forward. So he wanted to know he was an adventurous man. Okay, so he wanted to know what was that. Let me see. As he went past a cluster of bamboo stems, an object came into view. So, as he went past a cluster of bamboo stems, he saw an object. It looked like a giant glass bowl turned upside down, covering the pond completely. It was through its translucent shade that a strong yet gentle pink light was shining out to turn the whole area radiant. So again, description of the thing that was there. Okay, very important. So these four lines, very important. How did it look? It looked like a giant glass bowl turned upside down, and it was covering the pond completely. Okay, and through its translucent shade. Now you know translucent means you can see through it. Okay, but not fully. You can see through it partially. Okay, through its translucent shade that a strong yet gentle pink light was shining out to turn the whole area radiant. He took a few steps to get a better look, but suddenly felt as if an electric current has passed through his body. So as soon as he took a few steps to get a better look, as if he got an electric shock, okay, as if an electric current passed through his body. In the next instant, he was rendered completely immobile. That means he could not move. Immobile means his movement was stopped. His hands and feet were tied with an invisible rope. So though he could not see a rope, his hands and feet, it as if his hands and feet were tied with that rope. There was no strength left in his body. He could neither move forward nor backward. So he could not move forward or backward. A few moments later, Bonku Babu, still fixed stiffly at the same point, saw that the object had gradually stopped breathing. Breathing means that humming sound, okay? So that object has stopped that sound. All at once, his ears ceased ringing and the humming stopped. A second later, a voice spoke, shattering the silence of the night. It sounded human, but was extraordinarily thin. So, very important, okay? A voice started speaking, shattering the silence of the night. Though it sounded human, but something much more thinner than a human voice, okay? And what did it just told? Millipiping crack, millipiping crack, it said loudly. Bonku Babu jumped a little. What did it mean? What language was that? And where was the speaker? The next words the voice spoke made his heart jump again. So, what did it say? Bonku Babu could not understand. What was it saying? What language was that? Who are you? Who are you? Why? These were English words. So now it spoke, who are you? Was the question addressed to him? Bonku Babu swallowed. I'm Bonku Bihari Datta, sir. Bonku Bihari Datta, he replied. So here we get the full name of Bonku Babu, Bonku Bihari Datta. Okay, he answers the question that was addressed to him. Are you English? Are you English? The voice went on. No, sir, Bonku Babu shouted back. Bengali, sir, a Bengali, sir. So he tells that no, sir, I'm not English, I'm a Bengali person. This was followed by a short pause. Then the voice came back, speaking clearly. Namaskar. Bonku Babu heaved a sigh of relief and returned the greeting. Namaskar, he said, silently realizing that the invisible bonds that were holding him tightly had disappeared. So, Bonku Babu feels at the back of his mind that the bond that was there, that was holding him tightly, as if he was thinking, he was thinking that as if he'd been tied to an invisible rope. Now that has disappeared. He was free to run away, but he did not. Why? Remember? Due to his curiosity. Now his astounded eyes, astounded means astonished, his astounded eyes could see that a portion of the glass mound was sliding to one side, opening out like a door. Now this glass mound was slightly opening. Okay, a portion of this was sliding to one side, slightly opening out like a door. Through that door emerged a head. Now, very important, the description of Ang. Okay, very important. Emerged a head like a plain, smooth ball, and then the body of a weird creature. Weird means that's not normal, okay? Its arms and legs were amazingly thin. With the exception of its head, its whole body was covered with by a shiny pink outfit. Instead of ears, it had tiny holes on each side of his head. On the face were two holes where there should have been a nose and another gaping hole instead of a mouth. There was no sign of hair anywhere. Its eyes were round and bright yellow. They appeared to be glowing in the dark. The full para is very much important as it describes Ang. Okay? Now this name, you'll be getting this name afterwards. The creature walked slowly towards Bonku Babu and stopped only a few feet away. Then it gave him a steady, unblinking stare. Automatically, Bonku Babu found himself folding his hands. Having stared at him for nearly a minute, it spoke in the same voice that sounded more like a flute than anything else. Are you human? Yes. So this creature, this weird creature, it again speaks, and the voice sounded like a flute, okay, a thin voice. Okay. Are you human? And Bonku Babu replies, yes. Is this earth? Yes. Ah, I thought as much. Now this para is a humorous para, okay? There's a bit of fun in this para. So let's read it out. Ah, I thought as much. My instruments are not working properly. I was supposed to go to Pluto. So where was he supposed to go? He was supposed to go to Pluto. I wasn't sure where I had landed. So I spoke to you first in the language they use on Pluto. When you didn't reply, I could tell that I had landed on Earth. A complete waste of time and effort. It happened once before. Instead of going to Mars, I veered off and went to Jupiter. Delayed me by a whole day. It did. Hey, hey, hey. So this is actually a humorous para because he actually landed in Earth without going to Pluto. And as he told beforehand also, a same instance has been there where he had to go to Mars and he went to Jupiter. So this person, this weird creature actually, whose name is Ang, he makes mistakes, okay, and he himself laughs at it. Bongu Babu did not know what to say. He was feeling quite uncomfortable, for the creature had reached out and was examining Bonku Babu's arms and legs with its long bony fingers. When it finished, it introduced itself. I'm Ang from the planet Cranius. So from where did it came? From the planet Cranius. Important MCQ question, okay? A far superior being than man. Now this creature calls himself a far superior being than man. Very important, okay? What? This creature, barely 4 feet tall, with such thin limbs and weird face, was superior to man. Bonku Babu nearly burst out laughing. Ang read his mind immediately. There's no need to be so skeptical. I can prove it. How many languages do you know? So, Ang over here says, as Ang says that he's a far superior being than man, Bonku Babu just felt like laughing out, and he thought that how can such a small creature that is barely 4 feet tall, such thin limbs and weird face, how can he be superior to man? Now Ang could read his mind. Read his mind. That means his supernatural character. Okay. Otherwise, we humans we can't read other people's mind. So he read his mind immediately and says that, oh, you don't believe me? I can prove it. So what he says, how many languages do you know? Bonku Babu scratched his head. Bengali, English, and or Hindi, a little Hindi, I mean. You mean 2.5? Yes, I know 14,000. There isn't a single language in our solar system that I do not know. I also know 31 languages spoken on planets outside your system. I have been to 25 of them. How old are you? He asks Bonku Babu. So he over here gives the description as how much he is superior to human being and why he is superior to human being. So he proves himself by telling how many languages he knows. Okay. And then he asks Bonku Babu, how old are you? So Bonku Babu's age over here. Okay. I am 50. I am 833. Do you eat animals? Bonku Babu had had mutton curry only recently on the day of Kali Puja. How could he deny it? We stopped eating meat several centuries ago, Ang informed it. Before that, we used to eat the flesh of most creatures. I might also have eaten you. So he asked Bonku Babu that, do you eat animals? Now Bonku Babu over here feels that no, he should not tell lie. Okay, he just had eaten mutton curry on the day of Kali Puja. Now, next, take a look at this. Ang offered him a small object. It looks like a pebble. Bonku Babu touched it for an instant and felt the same electric current pass through his body. He withdrew his hand at once. So, next, what does Ang does? Ang gave him a small pebble-like thing. Okay, pebble is a small stone. Okay, it's a small object, and when Bonku Babu touched it, he just felt the same current that he felt a while before. Okay, so then what he did? He withdrew his hand at once. Ang smiled. A little while ago, you could not move an inch. Do you know why? It was because I had this little thing in my hand. So, remember, we had seen that yes, what happened? And Bonku Babu thought that as if his hands and feet were tied with some invisible rope. Remember? Okay, now, it would stop anyone from getting closer. Nothing can be more effective than this in making an enemy utterly powerless without actually hurting him physically. Now, this is a very important line. Mark it down, please. Nothing can be more effective than this in making an enemy utterly powerless without actually hurting him physically. So, here, actually, Satyajit Ray through Ang just tells Bonku Babu how to deal with an enemy without actually hurting physically. Okay. Now Bonku Babu was genuinely taken aback. He was shocked. His mind was coming out of his stunned state. Ang said, is there any place that you have wished to visit or a scene that you have longed to see but never could? Bonku Babu thought, why, the whole world remained to be seen. He taught geography, but what had he seen except a few villages and towns in Bengal? There was so much in Bengal itself that he had never had the chance to see. The snow-capped Himalayas, the seashore in Digha, the forest in the Sundarbans, or even that famous banyan tree in the botanical gardens of Shibpur. So, when Ang told Bonku Babu that, is there any place that you wish to visit? So, Bonku Babu now, see, he's a teacher of geography, and I told you beforehand that he was an adventurous person. So, now he started thinking in his mind, okay, that what has he seen? He has seen just a few villages and towns in Bengal, nothing much. And what does he want to see? Okay, so these are the important lines, these two lines, mark it. What does he want to see? The snow-capped Himalayas, the seashore in Digha, the forest in the Sundarbans, or even that famous banyan tree in the botanical gardens of Shibpur. However, he mentioned none of these thoughts to Ang. There's so much I would like to see, he finally admitted. The snow-capped Himalayas, the seashore in Digha, the forest in the Sundarbans, or even that famous banyan tree in the botanical gardens of Shibpur. However, he mentioned none of these thoughts to Ang. There is so much I would like to see, he finally admitted. But most of all think I would like to visit the North Pole. I come from a warm country, you see, so. Ang took out a small tube, one end of which was covered by a piece of glass. Take a look through this. Ang invited Bonku Babu. Ang invited. Bonku Babu peered through the glass and felt all his hair rise. Could this be true? Could he really believe his eyes? Okay, so I stop here, or rather, I'm interrupting here because what we see that after all these things, Bonku Babu admitted that most of all, he thinks that he would like to visit the North Pole. Okay, and now Ang takes out a small tube. Okay, one end of which was covered by a piece of glass, and he tells Bonku Babu to look through it. To peer means to look through the glass. Okay, and what Bonku Babu saw through this glass, it made his hair rise. Could this be true? Could he really believe his eyes? Before him stretched an endless expanse of snow, dotted with large hillocks, also covered with ice and snow. So now what he sees, that's actually the North Pole, an endless expanse of snow dotted with large hillocks. Now hillocks are actually small hills, okay, also covered with ice and snow. Above him, against a deep blue sky, all the colors of a rainbow were forming different patterns, changing every second. The aurora borealis. Okay, now Bonku Babu was really enlightened to see this aurora borealis. Now what's aurora borealis? Make a note of this. This aurora borealis is commonly known as the northern lights or southern lights. It's a natural light display in Earth's sky, predominantly observed in high latitude regions around the Arctic and Antarctic. Okay, so Bonku Babu just sees the aurora borealis in front of him. What was that? An igloo. Now, igloo we know, small houses that were made of snow. Okay, this is found in the snowy area, most probably in the North Pole. Okay, there was a large group of polar bears. Sorry, there was a group of polar bears. Wait, there was another animal, a strange, peculiar creature. Yes, it was a walrus. Now, what's a walrus? Walrus is a huge seal-like mammal with long tusks. Okay, so with a group of polar bears, he can also see a. There were two of them, in fact, and they were fighting. Their tusks were bared, large as radishes, and they were attacking each other. Streams of bright red blood were flowing on the soft white snow. It was December, and Bonku Babu was looking at an area hidden under layers of snow. Still, he broke out into a sweat. Now, why? Because Bonku Babu's excitement. Okay, it was due to his excitement that he broke out into a sweat, even in December. What about Brazil? Don't you wish to go there? Asked Ang. Bonku Babu remembered instantly. Piranhas, those deadly carnivorous fish. Amazing. How did this Ang know what he would like to see? So now Ang asks him about whether Bonku Babu would wish to see Brazil. Okay. And Bonku Babu remembered instantly on the name of Brazil about piranhas. Piranhas are deadly carnivorous fish. And he it's been amazing for him that how does Ang know what he would like to see? How does he know? We have discussed it earlier only that Ang had superhuman powers. Okay, he could read the mind of other people. Now, Bonku Babu peered through the tube again. He could see a dense forest. Now, as we see, he told about Brazil and dense forests. Those are the Amazon rainforest. Okay. Only a little scattered sunlight had crept in through the almost impenetrable foliage. So a little sunlight just crept means just slowly it got inside into that impenetrable foliage. So foliage means the plants and the leaves were so much so deep that it was almost impenetrable. There was a huge tree, and hanging from a branch, what was that? Oh God, he could never even have imagined the size of that snake. Anaconda. You'll all know about anaconda. The name flashed through his mind. Yes, he had read about it in an old issue of the National Geographic magazine. So all these things shows Bongo Babu was not only a geography teacher, but he was much interested in all these geographical things or places. It was said to be much larger than a python. So an anaconda is a much larger snake than a python. Oh, here was a canal. Crocodiles lined its banks, sleeping in the sun. one was going to go into the water. Splash! Bonku Babu could almost hear the noise, but the crocodile had jumped out of the water very quickly. With his eyes nearly popping out, Bonku Babu noted that there was virtually no flesh left on the belly of the crocodile. Bones were showing through clearly. Attached to the remaining flesh were five fish with amazingly sharp teeth and a monstrous appetite. Piranhas. So, Bonku Babu could see piranhas over here. Okay. Bonku Babu could not bear to watch anymore. His limbs were trembling, his head reeled painfully. All these things were happening out of excitement. So, what happened? His limbs were trembling and his head reeled painfully. Okay, now do you believe that we are superior? And wanted to know. Bonku Babu ran his tongue over his parched lips. Oh, yes, certainly. Of course, he croaked. So, Bonku Babu ran his tongue over his parched lip. Now, what's parched? Parched means dry. Very well. Look, I have been observing you. Now, a very important paragraph. Okay? What Ang is saying over here, this para, it's very important. We're going to discuss it, why it's important. Okay? Very well. Look, I have been observing you, and I have examined your arms and legs. You belong to a much inferior species. There's no doubt about that. However, as human beings go, you are not too bad. So, here Ang gives the character certificate of Bonku Babu that as being a human, he is not bad. I mean, you are a good man, but you have a major fault. So I told you why it's important. See, you have a major fault. You are much too meek and mild. So, two characteristic traits of Bongu Babu. Please underline meek and mild. Now remember one thing, as much as you use these keywords, it will be helpful for y'all. So, two characteristic traits of Bonku Babu, meek and mild. He was a timid type of man. Okay. That is why you have made so little progress in life. You must always speak up against injustice and protest if anyone hurts or insults you without any provocation. So, here is the life lesson that Ang teaches Bonku Babu. What is that life lesson? That since you are such a meek and mild person, so you have made so little progress in your life, and you must always speak up against injustice. So remember the theme, bullying, and to stand up against bullying. So, and here says that you should speak up against injustice and protest if anyone hurts or insults you without any provocation. A provocation means an action or speech that makes someone angry. Okay. To take things quietly is wrong, not just for man, but for any creature anywhere. So, this is the moral that to take things quietly is wrong for each and every person, not for man, but for any creature. So, it's a lesson even for you people. Don't take things quietly. Okay? What is wrong? Stand up for that, protest against that. Anyway, it was nice to have met you, although I wasn't really supposed to be here at this time. There's no point in wasting more time on your earth. I had better go. Goodbye, Mr. Ang. I'm very glad to have made your Ang leaves. Nothing more, okay? So Ang doesn't listen to him. He just goes away. Bonku Babu could not complete his sentence. In less than a second, almost before he could grasp what had happened, Ang had leaped into his spaceship. Now, first time this keyword, spaceship, has been introduced over here. First, it was told as if it's a glass bowl turned upside down, okay? So, first time this word has been used. So, Ang had leapt into his spaceship and had risen over Poncha Ghosh's bamboo grove. Then he vanished completely. Bonku Babu realized that the crickets had started chirping again. It was really quite late now. Unusual thing has ended. That unusuality period has ended as the crickets had started chirping again. Remember, the crickets had stopped making the noise? Okay, so now next para. Bonku Babu resumed walking towards his home, his mind still in a wondrous haze. So his mind is full of some different things. He's wondering what has happened. Okay. Slowly, the full implications of the recent events began to sink in. Okay, now what's implications? Implications means the action or state of being involved in something. So he was involved in what happened. So many events, so much of things had happened to him in such a small time. So that was going to sink in within himself. A man? No, it was not a man. It was an ant had come here for some unknown planet and spoken to him. How extraordinary! How completely incredible! There were billions and billions of people in the world. But who got the chance to have this wonderful experience? Bonku Bihari Datta. Full name of Bonku Babu. Okay? Bonku Bihari Datta, teacher of geography and Bengali in the Kakurgachi village primary school. So he feels sorry, he feels privileged over here. First time Bonku Babu feels privileged. No one else. From today, at least in this particular matter, he was unique. He was special in the whole wide world. Okay. Now, Bonku Babu realized that he was no longer walking with a spring in every step. He was actually dancing. So, with these lines, what we understand? A An underconfident man gains his confidence. A person who is springing in every step, who is actually dancing, that seems to be a confident man. The next day was a Sunday. Everyone had turned up for their usual meeting at Sripati Babu's home. There was a report in the newspaper about a strange light, but it was only a small report. This light had been seen by a handful of people in only two places in Bengal. It was therefore being put in the same category of sightings of flying saucers. Okay, so everybody, it was Sunday next day, and everybody had, as usual, come to the Sripati Babu's meeting, Adda, and there was a report in the local paper about this strange light, but it was a small report, it was not of much importance. So, and the light has been seen by a handful of people in only two places in Bengal. So, it was put in the same category as sightings of flying saucers. Okay. Tonight, Poncha Ghosh was also present at the meeting. He was talking about his bamboo grove. All the bamboos around the pond in the middle of the wood had lost all their leaves. It was not unusual for leaves to drop off in winter. But for so many plants to become totally bare overnight was certainly a remarkable occurrence. So Poncha Ghosh has also come to attend this meeting, and he has come to tell about some unusual occurrence. What was that? All the leaves of the bamboo trees were shedded off. So it's not natural. Okay. Everyone was talking about it when suddenly Bhairav Chakravarti said, "Why is Bonku so late today?" Everyone stopped talking. So far, no one had noticed Bonku Babu's absence. "I don't think Buncombe will show his face here today. Didn't he get an earful yesterday when he tried to open his mouth?" said Nidhu Babu. "No, no, no." Shripati Babu sounded concerned. "We must have Bonku." So they think that no, no, no. Shripati Babu says that Bonku must be here. Without him, how will we enjoy our evening? Okay. Ramkanai, go and see if you can get hold of him. "Okay, I'll go as soon as I've had my tea," replied Ramkanai, and was about to take a sip when Bonku Babu entered the room. No, to say entered would be wrong. It was as if a small hurricane swept inside in the guise of a short, dark man, throwing everyone into stunned silence. So once again, see, Bonku Babu's physique is being described over here. Okay? Short, dark man. And the way he enters, as if a small hurricane. What's a hurricane? Hurricane is a type of storm. So remember, Bonku Babu has changed. He has gained his confidence, and he came in as if a small hurricane had swept inside, throwing everyone into stunned silence. Everyone was astonished. Then it swung onto action. Bonku Babu burst into a guffaw. Now, what's a guffaw? Guffaw is a loud and hearty laugh. Okay. Bonku Babu burst into a guffaw and laughed uproariously for a whole minute, the like of which no one had heard before, not even Bonku Babu himself. So, his laugh, such type of laughter, nobody has ever heard before. Even Bonku Babu himself has not heard before. When he could finally stop, he cleared his throat and began speaking. Friends, I have great pleasure in telling you that this is the last time you will see me at your meetings. Now, this para again, Bonku Babu's changed attitude. Okay? All the things that he speaks over here shows his changed attitude, and that he is no more to be bullied. Okay? So, what he says that this is the last time you'll see me at your meetings. The only reason I'm here today is simply that I would like to tell you a few truths before I go. Now, what does he say? Number one, this is for all of you. You all spend a great deal of you all speak a great deal of absolute rubbish. So, one instance where we can see that Bonku Babu is telling the truth at their face. Okay, never could he had done this before. So he says that you all speak a great deal of absolute rubbish. Only idiots talk of things they don't know anything about. Number two, this is for Chandi Babu. At your age, hiding other people's shoes and umbrella is not just childish, but totally stupid and wrong. Kindly return my umbrella and brown canvas shoes to my house tomorrow. Okay, so understood this thing? Next, Nidhu Babu, if you call me Bunkam, I shall call you Nitwit. Okay, now Nitwit also has a meaning. Nitwit means a silly or a foolish person. Okay, as similar as Bunkam. So, and this nitwit is often used as a general term of abuse. Okay, so Banku Babu here calls Nidhu Babu that if you call me Bankam, I shall call you Nitwit. Revenge taken. Don't you all think? Isn't it? And you must learn to live with that. And Shripati Babu, you're an important man, of course. You must have chamchas, sycophants. Now, what's chamchas? Chamcha actually it's a Hindi word referring to a flatterer, okay? Sycophant means the same. So he says that you must have chamchas, sycophants. But let me tell you, from today, you can count me out. So from today, I am not going to be that person who would be your chamcha and who would come here to make himself a joke. Okay, if you like, I can send my cat to you. It's quite good at licking feet. And oh, you are here as well, Ponchabab. Let me inform you and everyone else that last night an Ang arrived from the planet Cranius and landed on the pond in your bamboo grove. We had a long chat. The Ang, was most amiable. So now he informs Ponchakosh and also to the other people that Ang arrived from the planet Cranius, landed on the pond in your bamboo grove, and they had a long chat. Even Bonku Babu now speaks about Ang's character. How was he? He was most amiable. What's amiable? Amiable is friendly and pleasant charactered person. Okay. Bonku Babu finished his speech and slapped Bhairav Chakravarti's back so hard that he choked. Remember, Bhairav Chakravarti used to do the same thing to Bonku Babu, and now Bonku Babu returned the same thing to him, and that also too hard, so hard that he choked. Then he made his exit, striding out with a bounce and a whistle, his eyes sparkling, his held high, head held high with confidence. Okay, he's a happy man now. He has fully changed. Okay, in the same instant, the cup fell from Ramkanai's hand, shattering to pieces and splattering hot tea on most of the others. Others were so astonished, even Ramkanai, that the cup fell from Ramkanai's hand, cup was shattered to pieces, and hot tea was splattered or rather splashed on most of the others. So at the end, that's the end of the story. And then what we see? A changed Ponku Babu, a confident person, a person who stood up against the bullying. Okay? The moral of the story is to stand up for oneself against bullying. So, this is a very important lesson in respect to us, even so that we should always stand up against bullying. Okay, now that's the end of it. If you like this short story, please subscribe the channel, and I'll be back with more videos of other short stories and poems. So goodbye for today.